Let's talk about advertising, specifically how to get started in advertising in a really smart way. To give credit where credit's due, I was just reading this book by Perry Marshall and Dennis Yu. It's called The Definitive Guide to TikTok Advertising. And very frankly, most everything I'm going to talk about today comes directly from this book. So thanks, Perry and Dennis. So one of the things that they recommend in that book is that lots of people, when they get started advertising, they dump a whole bunch of money in advertising, like throwing it against the wall, hoping that it will work. Get my microphone out here in front of me. That'll help a lot. So throw a bunch of money against the wall, see if it works. But what they do is they say, instead of doing that, your job initially is to make $1. That's it. Make $1. So if you spend $10, your job is to make $11. If you spend $100, your goal is to make $101. Now, if you spend $1,000, I bet you can't guess what the goal is. So if you spend $1,000, your goal is to make $1,001. In other words, make $1. That's all you need to do. Because once you break into profitability, even if it's just a little teeny tiny bit of profitability, what's happened is you're over a hump. And that tends to change both your attitude as well as your testing and going forward strategy. Before that, you're throwing things against the wall. Basically, what you're doing is once you break into that profitability, now you can further test and improve to get there. So how do you get there in the first place? Basically, what it comes down to is testing. So there are three key elements that I recommend testing right up front. So you're testing your ads. So what's in those ads, your copy, your pictures, your video, the different formats of ads, even your placement, where you are actually advertising. So that's your first thing you're testing is your ads themselves. The second thing, which lots of people don't test, and it always surprises me, is your landing pages. So you can have a great ad that sends people to a landing page that doesn't convert. And many of you who are just getting started find this. It's like, hey, I just sent 1,000 people to this landing page and I got one opt-in. Well, the problem there probably is not your advertising. It's probably your landing page. And so you should be testing multiple different versions of your landing page. The third thing is your offer. So it could be that your landing page is great, but the thing that you're offering to give them in exchange for their email address is something they really don't want. That's an offer problem. The challenge is you got three things there. You got ads, landing pages, offers, and they all interrelate to each other. One moves into the next, which moves into the next, and a mistake in any of them can cause you to not be able to get to profitability. And so what we do, and as I've said before, even the best experts have to do this testing because even the best experts in the world, the average person is wrong about 50% of the time. The best experts are usually right only about 70% of the time, which means 3 out of 10 times they're still wrong. So that testing of those three things until you get to that dollar made, so $1 more than you spent, is a very vital in process for you. Now, until you make that $1, spend lightly. So don't go out and say, I've got a $5,000 budget. That's all I can afford to advertise. And so you go dump $5,000 into it. I will tell you, Zuckerberg, Brin, all the people who are happy to take your advertising dollars are happy to spend whatever you give them. Our job is to not give them lots of money until we have verified that we can make money from the money that we're giving them. Now, I realize you may be in a low budget level, and so you may say, hey, $1,000 is a lot of money. Okay, I understand that. $1,000 is not something to sneeze about, but you're probably going to have to spend at least $1,000 to $2,000 to get through that testing process that I just talked about. It's just, you got to put some money against things. This last weekend, I was talking to somebody and he was starting a brand new business, and it sounds really encouraging. And he just quit his job on Friday. And I said to him, do you have any money? And he said, Don, I just quit my job. I'm unemployed. And I said, yes. But here's the thing that happened. The rate you're going is going to take you about 1.5 years to get to 500 people on your list to be able to really make a good offer. If you had $1,000 or $2,000, even if you go out and do a consulting gig and just get $1,000 to $2,000, that may be enough to get started this testing process. And it's so important to get there, even if that's all you can do. If you're going to spend, and he says, well, can I spend just $1 a day? I hear that works. Well, think about it. In a world where a typical lead on Facebook right now costs, depending on what market you're in, between $3 and $10, $15. If you're spending $1 a day, that means you're getting a lead every 3 days. That's going to take you to get to 500 every 3 days, about 42 years. It's going to take you a long time. I don't recommend spending $1 a day. That strategy worked when we could get leads for 10 cents a day. Now you probably ought to be spending about $1,000 to $2,000 to get your testing in process and be able to get through to get to where you want to do. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to spend minimally and just generate media exposure while you work on getting to the point where you're actually making money. My belief, and thank you, Perry and Dennis, is that this is a smart way to start advertising. So ideally, eventually, you're going to want to get to the point where you're making $2 for every dollar you spend on advertising, or more, $3 or $4. But initially, just try to make $1 more than you spend. And until that point, you're spending minimally, but spend at a certain level. I recommend about $1,000 a month because you want to get there faster than slower. You can get there spending $300 a month, $10 a day, but you'll get there a whole lot faster. And remember, in today's environment with ad prices continually increasing, and we've got until July 1st, 2023, when cookies are going to go away and everything is going to change and a sea change in a major way, now's the time to do this. So that's my recommendation to you. Focus on doing this smartly, minimal spend, get to $1 over what you spend, and then go from there. Okay? This is Don Crowther saying, just go do this stuff.